San Francisco is, shall I say more, there's something, drugs probably there. So when they're involved with drugs, so they need money. They don't care. That's why we reminded tourists here, if they're doing their cell phones, you have to remind them, oh, just be careful with cell phone, just look around. Somebody will hit you here, boom, and you will do that. They will drive to you. A friend over there is waiting. Through the friend, the police will come, they grab the person. Ah, you're the one who took the cell phone. Yeah, check me. Cell phone's gone.
Criminology is the study of crime and social control. Within criminology, we look at who is involved in the criminal justice system, so victims, perpetrators, families, the marginalised populations, but we also look at the organisations and agencies, police and courts, corrections, but also the wider non-government organisations that deal with people within the criminal justice system. To see something in action makes you really understand, rather than just reading it in a book, it challenges what you think, maybe some preconceived assumptions. And so when you speak to people that have experienced the criminal justice system, or you walk through a court, or you speak to a police officer, that's tangible, and you actually, it makes you think differently about what you've read in a book. You can ask questions, you can touch, think, feel. I'm Kate Burns and I organised the San Francisco Comparative Criminology Study Tour. In organising the tour, it was really important to think about the aim of it. Although it was a comparative criminal justice study tour, it was actually thinking about the links between social justice and criminal justice. And so that was really important when we were organising it, so that the students, when they left the tour, also felt really empowered to know this is the problem and what can I do to try and address this problem at home.
We were told we were going to go to San Quentin, and at first I didn't actually know what that was. We were ridiculously lucky to be able to go to a working maximum security prison where not really anyone really gets to go except them, maybe some lawyers and some psychologists, not groups of students from Australia. It's the first time that's ever happened, and it was the first time the prisoners some of them had ever met an Australian. The first thing we did was we walked through the massive security gates, and it looks like we were walking into Hogwarts Castle, but there was, guards with guns, and, we had to wear a very strict clothing attire, so we couldn't get our clothes taken by prisoners and they could escape, so we couldn't wear oranges, we couldn't wear a whole range of different clothes. It was a very strict attire, so that sort of set the scene of this is real.
The prisoners were out, there's no handcuffs or anything like that. They're on the floor, they're talking to you. They could just easily reach out and pet your shoulder, and it's just very jarring that way, because you think about these people as people that have been restricted from your society, and now you're all together and you're actually part of this one big community. I think the most confronting thing is that it's just not one person that's going through all of this, it's a whole community, and how much it actually interacts and affects each other. There was a part that we went to a homeless shelter and we got to sit in the cafeteria that they gave out food, and it was just incredible listening to the experiences of different homeless people and how positive and their outlook on life is, even though they go through so much more than I could ever say I went through.
We really wanted students to have an international experience, to not only think about the way that criminal justice occurs in Australia, but how it occurs overseas, what the links are and how we can compare it. But also it was really important that students didn't just sit in the classroom, that they went out, they were talking to people, they were experiencing different organisations, different people.
There was no exams, it was just real life practical assignments that we actually can use in the workplace. And the best example was I had to write a parliamentary submission and then was asked to do it in work a few months later. And there was no other course would be teaching me that in an undergrad level, so that was actually really cool.
Sitting in a lecture room, you're just being talked to about all the problems in the world. And with going on this trip, you actually face them. It's right in front of your face, and it's something that you can't ignore at all.
Ultimately, sitting there, it's very, very different, and you can't understand the impact that the research papers that you're reading and even the ones that you're writing, even if they're not published at that high level, you can't understand the impact that they can have if you're not actually having that practical experience to see the people that they are affecting, whether it be the victims or the offenders themselves.
I do think that this trip has really made me realize how much contact you need with someone to understand their perspective. And I know that with looking into criminology in the future, that I will need that. I will need like a truthful experience from someone to understand what I can do to help them.
What this does, it expands on that. It pushes them forward and really challenges maybe what they've thought or felt previously. And so it builds on to what they've learnt already. Crime and criminal justice actually impacts us all. And it's really important that students move beyond what they read in newspapers or see on the news and really interrogate the issues and get a really nuanced understanding of the issues of criminal justice and also why people may become involved in the criminal justice system to start off with. And also, but further than that, thinking about what solutions might work.